Welcome to Small Town Pulse with Steve and Melissa, the podcast where the heart of small town life beats loud and clear. Each week, we dive into real stories behind the challenges and successes of living in a tight-knit community. This is where small town dreams, drama, and determination come to life. This is Small Town Pulse, and you're right on beat.
Hi there, welcome to the very first episode of Small Town Pulse with Steve and Melissa.
Hi, I'm Steve.
And I'm Melissa. So we thought we would start off by telling you a little bit about who we are and what this podcast is going to be about.
Yeah.
So Steve, tell us about you. Where are you from?
Well, originally I'm from New York. Born and raised until I was about 39, 40, something like that.
So pretty well raised at that point.
Yeah, pretty much raised. I met my wife online, and she was living in Louisville at the time, and came out down here, took a drive, and stayed with her the rest of the time. So we've been together now since 2009, 16 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Been married for about 4, almost 5. But yeah, moved to Louisville and then needed a place not to get shot up at. So I decided to come out to Taylorsville because I figured if I was going to get shot, it was my own fault for trespassing. My thing was when we moved out here, I'm a city boy, so I was looking for the closest thing to a city, but as country as possible. So
Best of both worlds.
yeah.
That's one of the things I love about Taylorsville.
Yeah, yeah, it's really great. I love that small town feel. And
Well, so I am from Louisville, via Germany. So my dad was in the Army, so I'm an Army brat. I lived overseas till I was 7. My parents are from Louisville, so we moved back here, obviously, when my dad left the Army. And kind of grew up in this mix of two worlds of city and country because my parents are very country. My grandma was very country. She's from Oklahoma. So kind of grew up in a mix of some country living with some country people, definitely raised by some country people. But then we kind of moved to the city and to the suburbs of Louisville. Not from a great area by any means. It was my life's mission to get out of there and make something of my life, and left a lot of family behind to do that, who didn't quite make it through. We ended up in a small town of Taylorsville. Well, let me back up. First, I got to tell you, my husband, so he is from like the Churchill Downs area, so a little bit hood. He summered in the projects in Cincinnati. That was where he spent his summers, his vacation. So he's a little hood, but he loves the city, and I love the country. So our son, the reason we ended up out here is our son wanted to play basketball for Bullitt East. So we live in Taylorsville, but Bullitt County. So we're right there where all the 3 counties meet. But we moved out here for that when Jared was 14. He's 26 now, close to 27. And I love it. I will stay here forever for as long as he'll let me. My husband's dying to move back to the city. He doesn't like being out so far from everything. He would love to be closer to more restaurants and all of that. But I think you just can't give up the country living. Yeah. We have more house for our money. We have more land for our money. It's quiet. We don't have any problems. Our neighbors don't ever cause any problems. All those things. And I love coming down Main Street in the main areas of Taylorsville and just knowing everyone. Yeah. I never had that in Louisville. Yeah. I never walked into a business and knew someone's name. No. I never walked into that business enough to care what their name was. Really, Right. And here it's like you're friends with everybody. Even if you really don't know them that well, you're still friends. Yep. And I love that about it. So that's what keeps me in Taylorsville. What brought me was my son wanting to play basketball out here, but what keeps me here is that.
That was the thing with us when we were looking. It was one of those things where it was the first house we got into to look at, but it wasn't we kept looking for others until that finally worked out, and we're able to bring our kids out here. We had, my wife had 3 kids that we brought out here. They went to Spencer Middle and Spencer High. So
you guys been out here a while then?
Yeah, the oldest one was the only one that was finished with high school. He finished up in PRP, and then Didn't have any more schooling to do out here, but he worked at the Kroger down in Mount Washington, so it wasn't too bad. And then he moved in with a couple of friends, and he's now in Louisville. Our daughter got married, so she moved out. And our youngest, he moved to Texas and just got engaged and stuff. So it's kind
exciting.
of cool. Yeah.
So, Steve, what do you think people can expect to learn by listening to Small Town Pulse?
The biggest complaint that I get around is people don't know what's going on. They tell you, why don't you advertise on the paper? Why don't you advertise on TV? My wife does own a store out here, so we've done that, and we still get, oh, I didn't know you were here.
Drives me crazy. Drives me insane when I see that in the Facebook groups.
What I figure is we can give people the knowledge of what's going on. Some of the stuff that's going on Main Street, some of the stuff that's going on with tourism. We have a whole new tourism board and a director, so we're trying to build that up. What's going on with the lake. Some of the politics, not to get much into it, but, what are their plans going forward? Also,
And politics are a little bit different in a small town than they are in a big town.
They are, yeah, especially coming from New York and right there in the city in Brooklyn and Staten Island. It was totally different than it is out here. Same type of thing. You go into town and the judge sees you. He knows who you are. He says hi to you. The mayor, same thing. You can joke around with them and if you have business, there's business, and when there's joke around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like let people know about things that are happening so that they're not caught up late and say, oh, I already had plans that day. I didn't know that dinner in jail was going on, or the Gourd Festival, or the car show that we just picked back up in on Main Street.
Right.
So there's gonna be a lot more going on, and hopefully we could spread the word for people.
Yeah. I think also we can really, in this podcast, touch on just things that everybody can relate to, regardless of what small town you're in, right? So the good things about being in a small town, the bad things about being in a small town, kind of how the community works, how we work together, kind of celebrate some wins, talk about some losses that we've had in the community, things like that, that just I think will appeal to everybody, regardless of the town that you're from. But if you're from a small town, we all kind of experience a lot of the same things.
Yeah, that's true.
So I am the CEO and founder of The Social Marketer. So I used to work for a much larger company here in Taylorsville that relocated from Louisville. It just got a little too corporate-y for me. Decided I would start my own company, kind of doing the same things that we did there, but being able to do it for lots of businesses. So the one thing I really love about small business is every win is huge. It means something to a family. It means something to that business owner. It doesn't just mean $1. And so I wanted to bring the marketing skills that I learned for that other company to all the small businesses here in our town and surrounding towns. But I also, in addition to running my own company, I volunteer for the Chamber of Commerce. So again, that's really where I get to work with a lot of the small businesses here in town and help them get the word out, right? Like you were talking about. I've been here for 10 years and everybody says, I didn't even know you were there. It just is painful to me when I hear that, because there's so many opportunities to get the word out, but it's hard to do it yourself when you're working your business, right? And so many of our businesses in a small town are 1, 2, 3 employees.
Yep.
The owner is working that business every day. Like your wife, she works her business every day. And if she doesn't, there's nobody else to. And it's my passion project. It's a volunteer project for me. I love it. And I love helping people. I love teaching people about ways they can promote their own business. And yeah, so that's kind of where my mindset comes from. So I do come from a very marketing mindset. I'm also an accountant by trade, so I'm also very budget conscious and mindful of that. I have some very interesting conversations with myself between my accounting brain and my marketing brain, but we make it work. So
besides everything I do here in town, I do have a full-time job, so it's kind of crazy. Some nights I don't get home till 3 in the morning, and then we get up early to open up our store. My wife owns Pyrite Illusions. It's me, her, and our roommate who is our acting manager. She also does massages in store. We started this business almost 3 years now. We started as a traveling business. Doing the travel, I was able to go out and promote the town. Hey, not just come to my store. Hey, we have Edgewater, we have the lake, we have, make it a weekend trip. You don't have to just sit there. And when we first started, I worked with Main Street. I worked with the chamber. And then doing the traveling, I'm like, well, what better way to get the word out than to work with tourism? So I couldn't commit too much to the chamber and Main Street, so I decided to get on the board for tourism for the main reason that we wanted to keep that board growing. And as a matter of fact, we got it to the full 7 members this year. We have a director that we hired. She's out there pushing and promoting and trying to get whatever grants we can to help around town. So that's been great on that part. And I've learned a lot. There's the Kentucky Travel Industry Association certification, and I was able to take the classes and get certified in tourism now
very
through
cool.
them. Yeah, and it was great. It was a blast going to the seminars and things like that. So I did learn a lot. It's just one of those things where between the business, between tourism, we just try to bring the people in. And it's one of those things, especially when you're coming into a small town, you don't want to overgrow. And a lot of the people that have been here don't want too much change. There's some change needed, and as long as we do it the right way, get a couple of other restaurants in, a couple other attractions in, but nothing too major that's going to disrupt the flow of the small town feel.
The vibe, yeah.
Yeah, because my thing is, coming from the big city, I don't want the hustle and bustle like I had to do. It's bad enough I got to drive to Louisville to go to work. If the people have input, it'd be great. We can't do everything that everybody wants, but hopefully we can do enough to make everybody happy, or as much as we can happy, because we're never going to make everybody
Never.
happy. But
And I think that's really common in a small town too. It's a delicate dance for our city and county officials of grow enough to keep going and to survive and to pay the bills through revenue, through tax revenue, but also not grow too much that we upset the people who we don't want to change the feel of the town entirely, right?
exactly.
And there's a lot of people in small towns, and I know this isn't just Taylorsville, this
No.
is all over. They're very resistant to growth and very
yeah.
resistant to change.
Yeah.
And not just in their town, but I mean, it's a thing I see in people in general, just in life. They're
Right.
scared of changes. The older we get, the more we want this very sure-footed
Yep.
life, right? We don't want change. And in small towns, we tend to have a little bit of an older population too, so that are kind of resistant to the change, right?
Yep. Like I was saying with the way I came from the bigger city and the bigger town, the one plus I did have is my family comes from Italy. So when I was younger, I was able to go out to during the summers and spend time with my family in Italy, and they were small town. I mean, to the point where they had no running water, no electricity.
Very small town.
Yeah, no telephone. This was at the time I was, back in the 70s. They didn't first get their first electricity till 82. So I was 12 years old.
Wow.
So, and they had the one store that had all the refrigerators. So if you had to go put something in a freezer or a fridge, you had to go pay somebody in the store to go keep it fresh.
wow.
Yeah, it was. And then also the phone. They were the only place in town with a phone, and you paid by the click. So it was kind of weird because you're sitting there on the phone, and all of a sudden you hear the click. Oh man, that's one click. It's like I
There's
gotta
a
hurry
dollar.
up.
There's a dollar. There's a dollar.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So I know a little bit about that growing up. So it was kind of cool. So coming out here wasn't too much of a culture shock, but it's been fun. It's been great meeting all the people, talking to all the people, and them knowing you. A lot of people do care about you, and
They do.
it's not one of those things where, oh, you know, there he is, and I don't want to go see him. But you run into each other, you talk, you have a pleasant conversation, and you go on about your day.
Yeah. I think too, the more I am out and about in my community, the more I volunteer, the more I shop the local businesses, eat at the local restaurants, I feel so much more connected
Yeah.
to my community.
Yeah,
think that helps.
And that's great. Like you said, you go to the local restaurants, by the time you get in there, most of them already know what you're going to get to eat. And it's like, okay, Steve, we got you. You know,
Right.
so it's
The
kinda-
usual.
Yeah, the usual. And then when you confuse them, no, today I'm going to try it. What are you doing?
Are you feeling okay?
Right.
Steve, let's give everybody a little bit of a sneak peek preview of what we have coming up on this podcast. So we have quite a few episodes planned. We've got some great guests. So it's not just going to be everybody having to listen to us ramble, right?
Right.
We're just giving you that for the first one. But ongoing, we have some great guests. So tell us who we have coming up.
The Main Street organization, I have the director and the president coming in. That's Bev and Terry. Catherine Scott from tourism. We'll have Victoria Schneider from the Humane Society. Fear will be here because she's written a book and talk about her business.
Talk about the ups and the downs of
The
owning a
ups and
small
downs.
business in a
Yep.
small town. Yeah.
And then we have some other people like the lady from Sunkissed. She goes around and cleans up and figure about how to get volunteers and things like that, since that's all volunteer work that she does.
That's another thing that's really tough in a small business, in a small town. I mean, if you are an organization that relies on volunteers and donations, it's tough because we don't have the businesses to pull from here that big cities do, right? So we got to work extra hard to support.
Well, even with big cities, a lot with the economy that we have,
Right.
a lot of people don't have that money to
They
put
don't.
out there. One of the biggest complaints you'll get, because being a business owner myself, even prior to coming here, the only time you saw somebody was when they were coming in for a donation, and they never shopped your store, or they never walked in and don't even live in the area, didn't even know you existed until they were walking along and said, "Oh, let me stop in here for a donation."
Right.
$25 gift certificate adds up.
Adds
you have
up.
100 people come through. That's $2,500. That's a lot for some of these businesses.
Yeah.
Especially if all they're using is that gift certificate. So
Right.
You don't want to put that onus on the owners. But we do have a few other guests that we're working on and trying to line up. So hopefully we can bring enough information to everybody to want to keep listening to us.
Yeah. And let us know if there's something particular you'd like to hear. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us in the comments and let us know what topics you think we need to cover about living in a small town. So I think that wraps it up for this week's episode. Hopefully you got to know a little bit about us and what this podcast is going to be about. We're really excited to bring this information and content to you, and we will see you on next week's episode.
Take care.
Bye.
That's a wrap on this week's heartbeat of small town life. Thanks for tuning in to Small Town Pulse, where stories are shared, voices are heard, and the spirit of community always comes through loud and clear. If you felt the pulse today, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're here every week with more small town dreams, challenges, and everything in between. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep your finger on the pulse. This was Small Town Pulse with Steve and Melissa, and you're right on beat.